That was nice.
Ortis.
Yes.
And now the monster comes. No.
No. Well, wait.
This was which piece? This is
This was La
1500s.
Bernardina, Frescobaldi, La Bernardina.
And this is 1583. I mean, he was 1583 to 1643, is it? That was
1583, 1643.
yeah. And the first one was Diego Ortiz from 1510, around the time when Gurū Nānak was having his journeys, his travels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was born at the time, of course, when Gurū Nānak was already doing his travels until 1576. That was fantastic. And tell me about Diego Ortiz. What was the piece that you played, and what is unique? I mean, I know that you like it. We've discussed about that earlier. Why do you like it? Tell me about Diego Ortiz's work.
Well, Ortiz is fantastic repertoire, mostly for gamba, for viola da gamba. And it's almost a unique piece of art we have from the viola da gamba Renaissance, because he does not only wrote the pieces, such as the two pieces we did play, but he also wrote a method to improvise.
I see.
So he writes all the way of flourish the melodies. A simple melody of 2-3 notes can be flourished with as much as you want, 1600 of notes.
Can you demonstrate just the improvisation part, how he wrote?
What?
And can you demonstrate that improvisation part for me? The ones that he wrote in terms of improvisation. That would be fantastic to single that out and to demonstrate that.
Well,
so the improvisation is also written, you mean? He has written the improvisation, or he has provided you the space to improvise?
He provides the way to flourish the intervals. So, for instance, if you want to go from this F to the G, you can go, or so it's basically, you can make various differences between this, because maybe you had, for instance, the piece we played before, this dance like passe mezzo, So you can imagine that there is a melody, even if it's not written, a bass melody, which can be maybe so you can move the notes between these
I see. But how to move
very simple melodies, but you can flourish them.
But just for my clarity, so the movements, the three movements that you made to go to F or G, whatever note it was, I'm forgetting.
Yes, F and G.
Those movements that you did, the three variations, they were your creations, or he has already written?
They are written.
They are written. One is not. I think it's not written like the first is not written like I did, but it's maybe the basic on which we practice also the technique, everyday techniques.
I see.
And the others, I think some of them is written, but now I'm working more on the fourth, on other intervals, because I'm trying to memorize it. I'm trying to make it by mind, but it's huge. It's a huge work, because it's maybe, I think it's 20 plus variations for each interval.
Fantastic.
Let's say Fa, Sol, Fa, La, and so on.
I see.
But what we played is written.
What we played is written. The two pieces are written.
No, that was wondering. So improvisations, in the sense, I mean, for example, we write at times when I'm writing notations. There are some of my granduncles have, for example, in the 70s, they wrote just a few compositions. They wrote. Some of the improvisations are notated down, the double speed, the quadruple, and some of the endings, 3, 6, 9 endings, like the one I wrote for the Anād ensemble, 3 enders and the 9 enders or 6 enders. like that. So I was wondering whether this work already done in the 15th, 16th century, where the improvisation was also written. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And the second one is Frescobaldi, born towards the end of the 16th century, and not too old. He was something like 60 years only when he passed away. What was his music about? Tell me about him as a composer. What do you like about him, and if you want to share a note or two about him?
Well, Frescobaldi is another really outstanding composer. Maybe he's more remembered for the organ music, for his treatise I Fiori Musicali. But what happens after the Renaissance in music, of course, in the end of the 16th century, is that this canzona da sonare, as you maybe heard, it's the shape of the composition. It's really variated. So it starts very often with this incipit. This is very common. Plum, pam, 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 pam. This is very common. This theme is very common in this kind of compositions. But then the adagio and times in triple time, you can really shape it as much as you want. So the shape is various, is very well defined, but at a certain point you can manage to give it your interpretation. Of course, there are proportions also in the tempos, but you have a certain freedom to give your shape to the compositions. Much more than maybe what you could do with a Mozart or later classical music. And also the basso da continuo, the basso which I'm playing, only the notes of the bass line are written. All what is the harmony, the chords, and some eventually lines I can add going somewhere in relation to the upper voice, which is here played by the flute, the recorder. And so I think this characteristic of the shape of this kind of compositions is what likes and surprises me every time.
Also, you can hear lots of sorry.
No, please go ahead.
You can listen lots of interpretations, and all these first sonatas are very different. Everybody can play them as he wants a bit. So the adagio will be, somebody will play them very slowly, full of variations. Other will play them more strictly. You have more freedom. And one also why we choose this, for me, I thought, let's play Frescobaldi because he worked in Roma, also in Rome.
I see.
And actually, he's buried in the Pantheon. Oh. So I'm connected to Frescobaldi.
I see. That's sweet. That's very intimate. Yeah, that's nice. And his music that he wrote, did he write for the church or for the kings, for the monarchy, or was it just music?
For both.
There is not a specific destination, I think, for this music, but yes, it is possible it's been used during the church.
He was organist in churches. He was the organ player, so he composed a lot of church music. But I think those canzonas are just for, the title. This one is called La Bernardina. It's probably entitled to somebody, probably some nobleman or somebody who
maybe woman, Bernardina.
But it's La Canzone, so it's normally, yeah.
I see. From Vietnam.
It's okay. You can have pinch each other. I mean, you can have the little husband-wife nag tag.
So we do.
You can. I mean, you have my license. You have the license to fight. That's okay.
Bernardina.
Bernardo.
That is sweet. And so it is. This is interesting that this particular, although he worked in the church, but this piece may have been dedicated to someone. But it's not certain. It's you're assuming that, is it?
No, I think it's quite certain that all this canzone. He wrote a lot of pieces written for one or more instruments with continuo, and they all have a name, and I think it's known they are entitled to somebody.
I see. Okay. So what's next? You're taking me which century?
We are still in the same century. It's Andrea Falconieri.
Oh yes.
Worked a bit around.
And what is the piece? What is the piece that you're going to play from him?
It's first a wonderful melody. It's called La Suave Melodia e Sua Corrente, so it's a dance piece. And after, it's a more funny piece called The Spiritillo.
Okay. Fantastic. Look forward.
If I find the music.
So this is the Theorbo. Theorbo is from which century? It's the instrument that you have. Tell me about the instrument, the one that you have. Yeah. It's got many sympathetic strings.
So the Theorbo is born in the end of 16th century.
Okay.
Possibly the more probably from a bass lute, which has been added this part of wood.
I see.
Strata to have an extra octave of bass strings, which are starting from here, diatonically tuned. So these strings you must play almost always with the thumb.
I see.
And yes, they give a certain sustain and reverb to the other notes of the instrument, but they are meant to be played with the right hand only, while at the same time the left hand does the usual job for these instruments. And that's it. And the instrument was at the beginning used a lot to accompany other instruments, ensembles, soloists, and also this instrument doesn't have a very high texture. So the highest note I can have is this. Maybe there is maybe two pieces or one in which you go to a third out of the fingerboard. And so this is also very it sticks very well to the Baroque music, the Baroque era, which begins in this decades, and because the music, the compositions goes from the polyphony, in which 4, 5, 6 voices are equally important, to the polarization between the bass line and the, let's say, soloist and the highest line. So this polarization which tends to transform the polyphony between 3, 4, 5, 6 voices, equally important, to 2 voices, no? And so this is it works very well for the music of the beginning of the 17th century.
Can you demonstrate the scales? How do you practice before we go to Falconieri of this instrument? The extent of that. How do the scales that you work on this? Yeah? Can you kindly demonstrate that?
Well, actually, the Theorbo is a big to practice a lot. So basically, I prefer to make my techniques and everyday training on the Baroque lute, or arch lute, or the lute with many strings.
I see. Okay.
Also, because this is probably the only instrument we are allowed to play with single strings, which makes the sound production very, very much easier. So, but I basically put some of these diminution types.
Right.
So the most simple is something like, and then with the bass, something like this, and then I can move the bass. Like this, so I move the melody and I move the bass line, and then we have some things like techniques like very, as you can see, very mechanical things that I practice just for the hands. That maybe in the beginning for the hands I practice some mechanical things, to have all the movements and the connection to these things clean. This is basically with little differences I practice on every instrument. So if I want to play the Baroque lute, for instance, I practice this on the Baroque lute. If I want to play the Renaissance lute, then there is some more different techniques which you don't use on the Baroque instruments. So I have a plus when I must play the Renaissance lutes.
I see.
And the early Renaissance, they have different techniques. I need to practice something which is not required for these instruments.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So, here we go to Andrea Falconieri, 1586
Sure.
to 1656.
Okay.
Oh, that was that was very sweet. And you picked up the recorder, the piccolo at the end. Is this the piccolo in your hands, or is still a recorder? It's still recorder, no?
It's all recorders in different sizes. I don't call it piccolo because
piccolo is the real small one. I didn't realize that. Yeah, that's the other one. Yes. So this is still the recorder, but and tell me, I mean, when we were doing the Gurū Nānak 550th anniversary, you played two different. One was the long, actually more. At the Radio Rai3, you played the very long one, is it?
Yeah, I had the tenor one. I'm not playing that. I have it, but
can you demonstrate just for the demonstration? Yeah, can you just tell us about the different flutes that you have?
So, today I will play 4 different recorders.
I see.
And it's all different sizes, but you can see there are also different models. This one have a more simple shape, and they're older. And this one, you can clearly see they're Baroque.
I see.
So this is a copy made of an instrument that's in Vienna, in the Vienna Museum, and it's called Ganassi model because it was named after the writer of a treatise, of the first treatise on an instrument. It was called Silvestro Ganassi, and in 1535 he wrote this treatise about how to play the recorder, and he describes an instrument that's exactly this one. And the first part, it's a recorder school, and the second part is like the Ortiz, it's a diminution school where he shows how to play diminutions and ornamentations on a melody. And so this one is a Ganassi instrument. It's a descant recorder or soprano. And then I have the same one in another size. This is an alto. The soprano is in C, and this one is in G. So let's say they were used in the 16th century, from the beginning to the second half of the 16th century.
I see.
No, even later. Sorry, till probably the beginning also of the 17th. And then something happened around the middle of the 17th century, the second half of the 17th century. From this shape, you get to this shape. In between, there were some other instruments with strange shapes also, but then this one is the final result. And the external shape is actually because of the inner bore of the instrument. As you can see here, we have this instrument is more like cylindrical inside, and this one is conical, cone, let's say. It's a shape like this. And to reinforce the smaller, here where the wood would be smaller, they put some nice, I don't know how to call it, sausage, I don't know, this big thing. And so this is also an alto, but this one was in G and this is in F. And this is then later in the Baroque period the most loved size. And then this one is a tenor. This one is in D, and it was used a lot in England, and it was in D, so like the traverso flute. So the recorder player could steal repertoire from the traverso also, without having to transpose.
I see. Can you demonstrate some of these sounds, if you don't mind, different flutes? So that would be fantastic.
I don't have, but yeah. Let's say normally these Ganassi instruments have much more sound, and it's very flexible. And also the low register is very strong. They are also quite agile. The Baroque instrument, of course, this is now lower. Actually, the sound is a bit smaller, but it depends also on the models, but it's very, very fast also. They needed to change the instruments order to have the right instrument for the right music, for the music of the time.
I see.
And so that's also why I change constantly recorders. I can show you also something else.
Yes,
I won't play it, but wait, look. I have it here. I also have a monster.
Oh, you do have a monster too.
My
So
personal monster.
Michele, I hope you're feeling jealous. I'm talking to Carolina, not to you.
What can you do?
This is a.
Whoa! Look at that.
This is a bass recorder in F.
My goodness.
And so
I have to
play
come
this
and
with-
steal this away from you.
I have a weapon.
Yes. Whoa.
Wait. Sorry, it's enough. So let's say in the beginning of the 16th century, the recorder family expanded a lot. Before you had, let's say, the tenor shape, or more this kinds of instrument like this, and then they wanted to have higher register and also lower, also in order to play vocal music.
I see.
That's also the time where the viola da gamba, they had all this concert music, consort. And so they created bass recorders and also much bigger instruments.
Also.
And this is the Baroque version of it.
Oh, I see. And which you said beginning of the 16th century. This one?
Yeah.
Early 1500s, is it?
Yeah.
Wow. And like the recorder doesn't go 2 octaves, the one that you normally play, the one you were playing with me, for
it has
example.
a bit more than 2 octaves.
And this is more than 2 octaves. Can you show the scale, just the scale of it?
Yeah, actually this one doesn't really, in particular in my model, it's also not that old, so I...
I see. So it's 2 octaves and a note.
Yeah.
I see. I see. So that's the range of that. It'll be very interesting to maybe have this when we continue our work on Gurū Nānak's compositions. This is I love the sound. I would love to write a separate line for this.
Yeah.
Oh, nirza regereza, nirza regama bagereza, regereza. You remember?
Yeah, we do.
Yes. I think you mentioned that your son loved that one. No, he's humming this often. Yeah, he was.
Sometimes he sings.
I think
yeah.
It was this one. Now, thank you so much for showing this. This is a revelation in the sense that I had seen this in images, but I didn't realize that you had this one too.
Yeah.
And what are these keys on it? There are keys already.
Keys are because my hands. No, I think everybody's hands are too little because you see one hole. Do you see one hole is here? The next one is here. It's not possible to close them. It wouldn't be possible to close them all.
When did the keys come into being? They were already there in the 16th century or later?
17th, beginning of the 17th
century. So in the 16th century, they were playing with large hands.
They had, no, sorry. For the big instruments, they also had, no, actually, no. They had only this key. And if I'm not wrong, no, I don't remember for the very big one because the biggest one is, I think it's almost could be almost 2.50 meters or something.
Wow.
And then of course you need keys. But
so keys were already invented in the 16th century, you mean? 16th or 16th century?
Yeah.
Very interesting. But Michele, you said that if you're not wrong, but Michele told me that you're never right.
I'm never right. I don't know.
That's obvious.
The boys have their own private talks too, you know.
That's obvious. I am always right, you know.
Yes.
It's my pain, you know. I must always. I said it before, you know.
And then he apologizes because he says, "You see, I was right."
It's really sad. It's so sad.
Oh, I miss those times when we were rehearsing all in the ISIS. By the way, I fly away tomorrow night, so it's gonna be end of an era of this year for me. 5 months here.
Wow.
But I really enjoyed, working with you guys, Valerio and Valentina. It was wonderful. So, where are we going next? Thank you, really, Carolina, for enlightening us on the kinds of flutes that there are, and I look forward to working with this app now. Now I've taken the reason I asked you to play the scale for me is because I'm going to write for it now.
Good.
I'm going to write.
Yeah.
And does it go fast? Can you go like really fast with this, or is it medium tempo?
It also depends on the keys, and now I have.
And also breath. You need to you spend more air on this, every time. So it's shorter. So I see.
Yeah.
And so I get it. I'm already writing now music for it in my head. I've stolen your instrument already. But I'll give you back several melodies.
Okay.
So where are you taking me? Not just me. We have so many wonderful people joining. They're all sending you. They're all saying bravo and saying amazing, and they're loving your work and your contribution. And
We're going to
which
Venice.
century are you? Oh, you're going to Venice today. Oh, I hear the water is very clean.
It's forbidden now to go to Venice, but we will bring you to Venice.
We'll virtually travel to Venice.
Yeah, and we'll see if it's true that dolphins are swimming in the
Isn't
canals.
it? Yes, and we can see the jellyfishes inside.
Yeah.
As I wrote in the introduction today, I said I'm virtually traversing walking across a few blocks in Rome.
Yeah.
You were supposed to shift near here. Your shifting is all cancelled, or you're going to be shifting soon to near where I am. No, you were supposed to shift your residence.
No, in the course of the summer.
In the summer, okay.
Summer move.
No, I think in 2 weeks we will be able to move. No,
really? It's already summer. No, it's May. È già maggio. Non c'è il sweater. Non c'è la giacca. No, it's already summer.
No, you mean shift the apartment or shift?
Yes.
In Italy, the apartment I think probably in July, August or something.
Whenever comes in summer.
So I see there's a disagreement. It's okay.
Well, it needs to be fixed. Needs to be worked out.
Okay, so we're going to Venezia.
Yes.
Dario Castello. No, to yes, Dario. Yes, sonata prima e sopranzolo. Okay.
did argue a bit.
You did?
A bit, yeah.
That's why I thought, I was wondering why am I feeling so nice?
As you see now, it's the time of the virtuoso music.
I see. That is fantastic. Tell me more about Dario Castello. Of course, his birth date is not known, but
it's not
he passed away in 1630.
It's not true. Is it Castello who probably died by peste?
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
1630, no?
Yeah, the fact is that there was a big tradition of this cornetto player. Cornetto is another almost Renaissance instrument, I believe. It has the fingering, the holes like a recorder or flute, but the sound production is almost that of the trumpet, and it can have a regular body or just curved like this.
And it's out of wood, but you have leather on it. So differently from a trumpet, it's not that shiny like a trumpet. The sound is a bit more. It's a bit softer.
But it's very present, and there was a big tradition in Venice of these players.
Yeah, and Castello was one cornetto virtuoso, and it was probably in the 16th century. It was the instrument, even more than the violin, one of the most loved instruments because it could articulate like the human voice. Also, it was the instrument that could imitate the voice, and that was. In this time, the main goal was to imitate human voice.
Yes, as always at that time, even in India, I mean, in South Asia, it was the same. All instruments were basically emulating human voice, and now people are emulating the instrument technically, which is interesting. Tell me something, just out of curiosity, that all the flutes or the recorders that you're playing, the variants, are all wooden. And have you ever tried a metal flute or trumpets or clarinets like that? You've never been attracted to them? The metal flutes,
No. As a child, I used to play a bit of traverso flute, My teacher forced me, but I didn't like it at all. It was too, I don't know, it didn't feel comfortable.
I see.
And
but it was just the comfort, or was it also the music, the sound that was more attractive to you?
No, I mean,
you were more
I was a child. I was 11 or 12 years old. I didn't like the position. It caused me pain.
It was more of that. Okay.
And now I would say, since I always played more ancient music, Baroque music, I never had the curiosity of trying some metal instrument. And actually, if you think also the metal, also the flutes in the beginning, they were like the recorders, they were in wood and they had holes also.
Yes.
They only started having keys late in the 18th or 19th century. And then they started having so many keys that they couldn't be in wood anymore because the wood wouldn't support the keys. That's why they changed.
Oh, I see.
It's lots of instruments, I think lots of players, they played on wood instruments till the very late 19th century.
Also, the saxophone, the earlier ones from Baroque or earlier, they're wooden actually, very basic. So I was curious about, did you try that, the earliest versions of sax?
No, you mean probably the chalumeau.
I'm not remembering the name now, but you would know better.
You mean the simple reed instrument? No, simple reed. No,
it was the saxophones, the old wooden saxophone, like.
Because the most similar would be probably the chalumeau, but it's a bit more a clarinet.
I see, but it has a shape which is different, which is like falls down, like this comes down, almost like that.
No, I don't know.
You didn't see that, okay?
No.
I can tell you about
I'm flattered. I'm flattering myself. I'm more informed. Haha. I can pretend to be a scholar in this case. But I don't even remember the name. I can still pretend to be one.
Have to check,
But that's fantastic. Okay, so we were talking about Castello, Dario Castello. Can you tell me more? What all did he write, and what has
Actually,
inspired
he only
you?
wrote one book. Listen, we didn't really study. I think he.
I see.
I feel like at school. No, I think he wrote one book of sonate, le sonate da concerto.
I see.
I don't know.
Da chiesa e da.
He wrote mainly, basically only sonatas,
Yeah.
which are for one instrument and continuo, or one high instrument and basso and continuo, or
Yeah, different.
more. So this was the formula. This was the setting for this instrumental music. So it can be one or more instrument which makes let's say the melodies, and then the bass, which can be played from one tiorbo, or organ and tiorbo, or organ cello and tiorbo, or you can add instruments in the bass line. Possibly some instruments making also harmony, and some are just making the melody line. So this gives you the possibility of making it different every time.
I see.
But very, very few is known about his life. I think he played in San Marco, in the musical chapel in San Marco.
And he was possibly dead within the
pest. How you say that?
This very bad Middle Age disease, which
the plague.
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 The
Yeah,
plague.
I see.
The plague in 1636, I think.
I see.
Probably.
But he died in 1630.
In the 30s, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
not the
okay. It's okay. I'm not watching. I'm not hearing. You can fight. It's okay. So where are you taking me next?
We're taking you to Bologna, and eventually Rome.
I wish I could go there. My son is there.
I know.
Gigi, are you listening? Luigi is there.
I
You'd have to take me to Turin as well, to my younger boy.
Yes, so this is.
They're both happy I'm not going to them. I'm going back. They're both happy I'm not going to them.
They are happy?
They are very happy.
No, I don't think so. So this is how the tiorbo works when you need to change the key, the piece. You need to change the tuning of one of the about 2 or 3, whatever of the bass strings. In this case, we are lucky only we need one.
I see.
So this changed from F to F sharp. And so Piccinini was a lute player and composer, and there is some noise. I'll speak a little bit, so I'll cover this. He wrote for the lute. He wrote for the archlute. He claims he is the inventor of the archlute, and he can probably be, as far as we know. And he wrote also for tiorbo. And he was also famous. He was also known to have a trio of lutes with his 2 brothers.
I see.
And it's very nice what he says about playing together. His music, very often lute music does have some instructions on how to play, how to interpret the signs of the intabulations. And it is very nice, and I find it moving to read this person in the beginning of 17th century writing that the best way of playing together is to play for the honor of your brother, or the other musician which is with you. So you're not playing for your honor, but for the people which you are playing with as well. And this is a very nice thing to think. And it was very easy for them because them being brothers, and so that's probably something nice to remember about him.
So how do you translate that, being husband and wife?
Well, yeah, maybe.
I missed something.
Yeah, you were making noises.
Oh,
yeah.
Not much, Carolina. You didn't miss much. Usual boy talk. It's not as peppy and spicy as the girl talk, but we manage.
Let's check again. Yes, it's okay. Sorpresa di stoccata. She needs a look. What can I say?
That was very nice.
Thank you.
It's a solo piece for this instrument?
Yes, it's two pieces. Actually, it's a toccata, which is a free shape, free form, music form, almost like a canzona, but the toccata is more of one instrument. And then a dance, a corrente, a very simple dance. And yes, it's music for this instrument.
Can you show me the transition from toccata to corrente? Is this
So the toccata is the free form which goes from and so on, and then going to the end. the end, and then and so on.
I see.
Mhm.
That's fantastic. And the
And
rhythms.
I couldn't play this music. Look at this.
What is this? A recipe for food?
It's the tabulation. In tabulation, so it's not notes written, but the lines are the 6 strings,
I see.
basic strings. The numbers tells you which
see it?
fret
Yeah.
to play,
Wow.
and then you have on the lines.
Yes.
The
No,
lines
that's
on
okay. Yeah.
That's the big
That's good. I see.
big strings. After
Wow.
the
What a
second
kind of a
string.
relation. I need a copy of this, man. I wrote about notations. I have to look at this kind of notation. And this is from the 16th century, is it? Or early 17th century?
Yeah. The 16th century. This is what is in
Late 16th,
tabulatura.
he's 1566 born, so he would be already writing by he was 20 or something. That's
See,
Guru
this is
Ramdas. That is Guru Ramdas at the 4th Guru Sahib's time. Wow, that's very, very, very personal for me.
Me neither. I cannot read it.
Really. See, men have special abilities too.
There are also women who play the theorbo, and they can read it.
Yes, indeed.
You could have avoided telling me that, Carolina.
Sorry?
You could have avoided telling me that part.
Oh, what?
You
I
could
don't
have
understand,
avoided telling me that women also play it and that they can.
Yes.
I was
Yeah,
in a
they
very happy zone and you crashed it so soon.
And they always did. You can see it in the museums, in the paintings.
Well, they're just paintings, They just to sell the paintings they draw the girls, no? No, I'm kidding. No, of course. They've been fantastic. Both have played, men and women. So where are you taking us next? You take Andrea Falconieri.
Back to him, yes.
Yeah, with Falconieri we are in maybe Naples. He worked mainly in Naples and Parma and Madrid.
Also, I see.
So we change again the tuning. We wait a little bit that it sticks to the note without moving too much. Take care.
Oh, scusami. We never play this close. It's dangerous.
It's dangerous.
Mainly for the instruments.
For my instrument.
Yes.
Well, what can I do? It's my karma. Okay, sounds almost.
And we're not keeping the meter distance.
I'm a very capable enabler.
That's illegal, eh?
Okay,
Do we play this?
Falconieri,
Okay.
La Monarca.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's nice. Very melodic, huh? Very. Is it also a dance piece?
Yeah.
What was the kind of dance they did? Did you ever try the dance?
No. Actually, no.
What?
Not if we ever try to dance.
No.
We try it now.
I only dance traditional Polish music. Don't know why.
Czesław would be very happy to hear that.
And sometimes, but only sometimes, maybe when I'm a little bit, on the substances, I can try to dance a tarantella.
Really?
But I must be a little bit, connected with the spirit.
Maybe
with the
Carolina,
souls.
maybe you can play something tarantella. Let's see Michele dance.
We don't have any space. It's full of instrument cases.
You move the chair away.
Yeah, she moved the chair. You see?
Do you see that? It's recorded like live, huh? She just like woof like that.
You see what time the poor man must is obliged to, That's it. It's life.
It's like
Oh, wait. Okay, but
Let's see
with
if-
your music stands, you're covering my music.
Oh, yeah. Don't tell me.
well, you just got told, Michele. Come on, you have to say something nasty back.
What?
You
I
just
should
got
say
told something nasty.
I can tickle him.
Yeah, don't ruin my instruments, eh? Come, stay at your place. It's still the lute, yes. It's still.
It's so the one that you played with me, Michele. Because we were doing music. I was writing, polyphonic. Multiple lines, counterpoints to Gurū Nānak's original compositions. You were, of course, playing the lute, which was in vogue in the early 16th century, which was my requirement for the Anād ensemble that I formed, to have instruments that correspond to the era that Gurū Nānak traveled across the world. So around 1505, 1510, 1520, between that, the lute that you played with me, you showed that. This is a different lute, is it?
Yes, sure. The lute I played with you, it's a 6-core lute, which means it does have 6 couple of strings only. This is a 10 cores. So this is a late Renaissance. It is the same era of the Tiorbo, and it's more appropriate for this repertoire. Even if the first pieces must have been better with the other lute, or something in between, because you can have it with 7, 8, 9, 10 pair of strings, but of course the more that you go farther close to the Baroque era, the more they added strings.
I see.
So since we are now playing music from 18th century England,
Beginning of 1708.
1708. So this
is
is
an anonymous
with
piece, is it? From London. So we're going to England now, from Venice.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're going to England.
We are virtually swimming to England, or we are taking wings.
I think we're taking wings.
All right, so I'll be readying my wings in a moment.
Maybe the boat.
Wing? No, this one is flying.
All right.
There was a famous song. Take a boat to England, maybe to Spain, or something, whatever. And so.
And this is from a collection of divisions. That means Michele is always playing the same chords.
Always.
A chain of chords.
Yeah, always, yeah.
And I have
Always.
a set of melodic variations on his.
Okay, let's say I play always the same.
So,
play always the same. I'm doing the
Carolina, did you? I was thinking, I was suspecting that Michele only, sort of troubles you by playing the lutes. He just tried to sing. He also sort of bothers you with his singing. At
You mean
times.
with his voice or with the lute?
With his voice. He was just singing something to go to England, no?
Oh yeah.
He was
Well,
humming.
I don't remember all the
Is
words.
he a
I
good
never-
is he a
Yeah.
good singer or just a bathroom singer?
No. I'm not a good singer, and what the worst is that I never, ever remember words. For me, music, I can remember a melody, yes, for years, for ages, but ask me about the words, that's none of my business, really.
That's why also he makes up lots of words.
Oh, I see.
Make
Now
up
that's a
lots of
complaint.
You make up lots of words. Inventi.
Do
make,
I?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or all the time. You mean your sometimes means all the time, isn't it?
Yeah. But now we have a more melancholic mood. We have to change
I
pace.
see. So we're taking to the wings, but in a melancholic mode.
Okay.
All right, there we go.
I don't know if it works, but
What? Yes.
We'll pretend.
yeah, they'll come.
I'm done.
That's very melancholic. mentioned that it was melancholic, but then there was a movement which is very.
These are
there's a swagger.
different. Yeah, these are we joined the two pieces. So the first one, the melancholic one, was Italian ground,
And then the divisions on a ground.
and this was the seven. And
So you took us with the wings, but then you divided the whole ground. You brought us crashing on the ground, is it?
no, but then we took a horse, I think.
Yeah, we were melancholic, then we crashed on the ground. We were happy after. We were dancing
Yeah,
after.
on the horse, riding a horse, I think.
Okay. No, beautiful, beautiful work. But this is anonymous. The author is not known, but it is certainly from London, is it?
Actually, it's a collection of different pieces. Yeah, but sometimes it's the all the pieces are on a bass line that repeats.
I see.
Always the same chord. All the pieces on this chord, and then you just play.
No. This division is called a piece on a bass on a how you say on
What?
yeah.
It's like, you know, the follia, those basses which are always repeating. It's almost like modern song or jazz or blues.
You have a pattern that is
yeah.
repeated.
The chords.
Harmonic pattern repeated.
Yeah, and the bass and the chords are the same. So the player must somehow variate it in relation with what's happening in the melody. And then the melody is variations on this same pattern.
And yeah, I'm looking through the book, so lots of them are just called only Division on a Ground. And by some it's written who's the composer, like Division on a Ground by Mr. Eccles, or Division on a Ground by Mr. Finger. So in some it's known, in some Bannister,
Okay.
and some are not known.
Okay.
And this was all material in the beginning of the 18th century. All the English gentlemen, they used to play the recorder. It was the instrument in England.
I see.
And so there was a lot of literature for our instrument. And also a lot of music was transposed for the recorder. Mm-hmm. Like from the most famous operas, sure. They did some transposition for recorder solo. Mm-hmm. Or the sonatas by Corelli, they were written for recorder. Because of the how are they called? I'm starting to look. The printers, they knew they had a public who would buy this.
I see.
And so they printed all possible music for recorder, arranging and or fitting it for recorder.
Adapting it, okay. I see.
Yeah.
So where are you taking us next? We
next,
go to.
I'm taking you not
to the
so
20th
far
century.
away. Yeah.
The 20th century. I see.
And this is actually Frans Bruggen. He's not really a composer. He's a composer, but I mean he wrote. It's a little collection of 5 studies for finger control. But Frans Bruggen, he's known to all recorder players because he was one of the recorder players who made the recorder a real instrument again.
I see.
Because our instrument, let's say, died or fell asleep in the second half of the 18th century, more or less with the death of Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach. And then it was forgotten because it had no place in the modern orchestra. The music changed. Composers were looking for other sonorities, and the recorder wasn't. They didn't think it fitted in the orchestra. And in a way, it's also true. It has not the volume of other instruments. Also because it couldn't develop in order to have more volume or being more precise for intonation. And so they didn't write anymore for the recorder till let's say it was discovered again in England in the beginning of the 20th century by the family Dolmetsch, who started researching on ancient music and also building old instruments. And so there was this double thing for the old instruments because there was raising interest for the old music, but also, and especially the recorder, they thought it would be a good instrument for the beginners, for children.
Oh,
and
I see.
and that, because it's quite easy, anybody can blow in a recorder.
Blow a whistle, yeah.
More or less gently. It's very cheap. You can play just everywhere. You can bring it with you. And so in the beginning of the 20th century, yes, the recorder came back to life, but also started his difficult life as a children instrument. And Franz Bruggen, who was Dutch, he rediscovered a lot of the repertoire for the recorder. He started to teach in the conservatory recorder, I think in his late 20s or something.
I see.
And he really is the saint, the grandfather of all us recorder players. And also lots of new compositions were commissioned by him or written by him. For example, Luciano Berio, he wrote a piece for Franz Bruggen. So he also developed he developed the instrument. He renewed the repertoire for the instrument. So there was not only old music you could play for recorder, but also new music. And since then, since the 40s, the 50s, there are lots of composition for recorder. Actually, it's one of the most favorite instruments for contemporary music now, because of its weakness. Because yes, we don't have any keys, but we can do this. This also makes it's a very flexible instrument. We can do a lot. It doesn't have a stable intonation because of everything is done with our breath. But this permits us also to do some things like, I don't know. You can do lots of things, and you can use lots of techniques that you can use in contemporary music.
I see. Yeah, that's very enlightening. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah.
And so now I'll play you one of these studies.
It's Allegro by Franz Bruggen.
Allegretto.
Allegretto, va bene, sentiamo questo. That was quite something.
Yeah, it's something different. No, I think we have
what is this? What is this piece? Tell me more about this piece. Then, what was he writing about in this? Is it like again for as you mentioned about youngsters, or this is for the conservatory kind of stuff?
No, actually, it's a bit more for advanced players, and it's a little. Actually, I don't know if he wrote any other pieces apart from this 5-finger studies.
I see.
It's really because actually what also was missing.
The reason I was asking is that you called it 5-finger study, so it was more of, was he experimenting with these? Was he exploring what all could be done?
I think it's really for studying it. for studying, for practicing finger movements. And actually, this is all written in legato, so I play it in only one breath without articulating. So I have quite quick finger movements, and it's also breath control. And when I play in legato, I really have to be careful that the fingers move all together at the same time, because if I do like, you see, if it's not precise, you hear it immediately.
I see.
And no, I don't know if he actually composed any other piece. So just 5 very melodic and nice pieces who reflect a bit the music of the time. And but yeah, it's etude, but I think they're very nice.
No, it's fantastic.
No, and the thing is also that at some point, while other instruments had a lot of literature for methods and technique, the recorder didn't have this. What we have historically is lots of treatises about the art of diminutions and things like this, but we don't have any historical method on how to breathe or how to move the fingers. I don't know, things like pianists have and flute players have. And so in the last century, lots of recorder virtuoso, they also started writing study material for our instrument. So something new. Yeah.
So what's next? At my request, you're going to play some Vivaldi?
Yeah, we are going back to Venice.
Yeah, Venezia. Andiamo noi.
Vivaldi wrote lots of concerts for the recorder. We would have played a concerto for you, but you know, because of this distancing, we couldn't afford to have an entire orchestra in here.
Oh,
so
I see. You
so
blame the virus now? Now you're
so it's
blaming
only
the
a
virus?
sonata. Sorry?
You're blaming the virus now?
Yeah. No, but Vivaldi wrote for us this sonata for recorder and continuo.
It's fantastic.
Ecco, da un secondo.
Sì, sì.
Sono pronto. Sciogli.
Wait. No, but you know, the instruments are in wood, so they're very sensible to the weather changings. And I was always playing this instrument in those days, but today it was really very. It sounds very tired. So another instrument.
I see.
So, for example, this size of instrument, the F alto, I have more of them. Actually, I have 3 of them because it's the one I play very often and where I practice on. So it's good to have more than one.
Yeah, yeah. I cannot agree more.
Okay.
It was not you.
Why are you coughing?
I was sneaking in a biscuit.
Coughing is dangerous in those times.
Isn't it? Yeah.
You could
I
be
had to
killed
hold
for
it.
this.
Yeah, I mean, if I told you that, yes, I was coughing at your playing then.
Yeah.
I have the napkin and the remains of a biscuit on top, so to prove that I just had a biscuit.
Don't cough at the airport. Only when you are sitting in the plane already flying.
Well, you never know; they might turn back.
Oh wow.
Oh, jeez.
This is fantastic. I mean, this is written by Vivaldi and for the recorder.
Yeah.
And the movements from andante to allegro to largo, then allegro. Wow. And
Actually, you see, what we had before in the sonatas by Castello or Frescobaldi, we had these canzoni da suonare or early sonatas. They were a whole, very long, but inside they had, as Michele explained, all these different movements, but they were connected. And later, the sonata became following movements. Normally, it was fast, slow, fast, fast, slow, fast. Actually, later it began in 3 movements, the sonatas. This is still in 4 movements, but you always have the alternation between a fast and a slow movement.
I see. This is beautiful. I mean, I'm tempted because he's just a few years younger to the 10th Guru, Guru Gobind Singh.
What? Sorry?
I mean, Vivaldi is just like 4 years or so younger than Guru Gobind Singh. Or, I mean, just a few years, in fact.
Then who?
Guru Gobind Singh. I mean, 10, 12, 14 years younger. It's the same era. And I'm sort of tempted to, because da 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 da, the movements. Namastanga Kale, Namastanga, you know, so the whole, he wrote a lot of poetry. And I'm going to try and maybe we can do something with matching Vivaldi and I could bring in the text of Guru Gobind Singh together. Wouldn't that be fun to
Of course.
I could go in a single pace and a single note, and you guys could be going there. Would be fun.
Yeah.
We're gonna try that. I'm sort of inspired looking at that. He was born 1678 and died 1741.
Yeah.
He lived. I have ideas. We'll work on them. So where are you taking us? Tell me about Francesco Barasanthi, born 1690, died 1770. Lived good 80 years.
Barasanthi was one of the many musicians who traveled and worked abroad. He was in Edinburgh, in Scotland, for I think 8 years or something. And he was also a wind instrument player. He played the recorder and the oboe. And when he was in Edinburgh, I think he traveled also on the countryside, and he collected this folk music he loved particularly. And so he made an entire collection of this old Scots tunes.
Oh, wow.
With the bass for violoncello or harpsichord, but we have it on the turbo.
Oh, look at that.
What can I do? She forced me to do this music.
I forced him.
Oh, yeah. See that.
But
the boys.
he's making a really good job, because normally all this kind of music he played for mainly the 18th century, you almost always have a harpsichord playing also the bass. And then you have also a string bass instrument, can be a gamba or a cello. And you have, of course, also the lute. That gives another color. And so now Michele is doing the work of lots of musicians.
I just played it, yeah.
Only playing one instrument.
Poor prisoner.
So nice.
No, so he has
Poor
to play
prisoner.
all the melodic line from the bass, but also the chords. He's doing.
Basically,
he has to
I
arrange
play
it.
one chord in the beginning and one at the end. And that's done. It's the more important things. You start and you end. That's it. In the middle.
On a serious note, I'm not joking, huh?
What? Sorry?
On a serious note, I'm not joking now.
Okay.
On a very serious note.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we don't see you, so we
Yeah.
we are tempted to always joke.
Yeah, you put this camera the other way and it's all shaking, taking me close and far, close and far, close and far. It's all, I don't know whose conspiracy was that. And
now it's shaking.
But it's always been doing that.
Now it's shaking.
It is?
It's always been doing that. Anyway, don't worry about it.
Okay.
We've been suffering that for a long time, like the virus.
Okay. Then close your eyes and listen to music.
So my very serious question, my query rather, this is not a joke at all. When you look at each other before you start playing something, who tells who, here we go, or start now? Who says and who listens?
We look at each other and we breathe together, and that's the start. Or I breathe. It depends also on who starts.
Actually, it would be very interesting we shall try this one. Seriously. I'd like, it can be surprising if everybody is playing with closed eyes and just have a start together. What would happen? No?
I sometimes do it with my students.
Yeah, you do?
Yeah.
I never. I mean, eyes touching is very important while playing together, as you know better than everybody. And so I think I just want to be in touch, to be really together in the beginning of something.
But does she tell you now, start now? And you say, yes, all right, I will.
I mean, the gesture, every instrument does have its gesture. So, for instance, it is very comfortable to give a gesture with a violin. Let's start, or whatever. Let's start, or a flute.
I'm not talking about a violin. I'm talking about the two of you. I'm not talking about the violinist. Don't bring a violinist. Don't bring Valerio here.
I think we just play.
All right.
Everybody.
All right.
I mean, it's important that we see each other and we make our own gesture.
Oh, look at the philosophy.
Which means we are breathing and starting.
Carolina, see that the boys will never accept that they're listening.
No.
What?
But you're not. No.
The what?
But the boys are never accepting the...
No, I'm really very much for the feminine genre is very much in my heart.
Oh, I see.
Really happy to be with
The
female.
generous Michele.
Always, if you see in our ensemble, in the bigger part of the programs, we always have always more women than men in the band. So I'm very happy to play with.
I'm done teasing you
We have no
guys.
problem. She wants to say the end and the beginning. And also because I was telling this because of my instrument, this instrument probably is very not appropriate. I mean, you can move and give a gesture, but it's very heavy. Even if I would having a violin, for instance, in my ensemble, I would say, please, you give the start and the end, because it's very much more comfortable for everybody. Or I should just move one eye. Starting, ending. No? I'm serious. But it's funny, you know?
Okay, I'm done teasing you guys. Okay. Allora,
Okay,
Francesco Barasanthi,
Yeah.
the lads
actually,
of Peter's Mill, the Highland Laddie and Cat, Oggi.
Oh, yeah. And in the end, we
Okay.
will repeat the
Lads of the Peter's Mill.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll repeat it.
All right.
Actually, yeah. You'll hear the melody is really the one Barasanthi heard singing.
I see.
And he added the bass line.
I see. the whole melody structure is quite touching, actually. And what do you feel? Tell me about this piece. How do you? What is it to you?
About the speed.
This piece, this particular composition by, as compared to the other work that you've played, Francesco Barasanthi, is there a sense of journey than others in him? Is he more aware and more eclectic by way of his exposure to other musics, different regions, or how?
Normally, his sonatas are, he wrote sonatas for the recorder, and they're just in the Baroque style. Let's say it's a composer of the 18th century, and you don't really hear any influence of this sort of music in his, let's say, serious music. So I think many musicians who traveled abroad had, for sure, they took influence of the music of the place where they were, if there was any folk music. But of course there was. Sometimes you can feel it then in the choice, in the rhythms. Sometimes you have melodies, and I don't know. It's very nice because no, it's not written. I thought, he writes it in his preface. Having discovered in several ancient Scots tunes an elegance and variety of harmony equal to the compositions of the most celebrated masters of those times, at the desire of several gentlemen of taste, I applied myself to do justice to those ancient compositions by a proper and natural bass to each tune, with the strictest regard to the tune itself, and without any alteration of the tune to accommodate it to the bass. So in this case, he didn't try to put these melodies he heard somewhere in his serious compositions, but just to stay very sincere and honor.
That's beautiful. Oh, thank you for sharing that thought. That's very important. That's fantastic to hear that.
Yeah.
Shows the scholarship and shows the integrity that he brought into his work.
Yeah. So I don't know how you normally perform it. Probably it's more unisono with different instruments, and they improvise.
We don't know what was folk music in the past. We can't know for sure, but in my mind, I really love this music because I'm fond of this Scottish, Irish music. I like it a lot. I was used to play this music when I was a kid, with the mandolin and whatever.
Can you demonstrate what you played as a kid?
This is Irish and Scottish music sometimes. So
do you remember
it's
something?
For me, yeah?
Do you remember something?
Yes, I do.
Why don't you play some?
Well, because...
No, now I think.
Not now, I think. I played it now.
No, I was talking about, you were telling about childhood, no? Your younger days. Was that the piece you still played when you were young, or?
We were playing, we were playing.
That's what I'm saying. So I was just asking you if you remember still the music you played when you were young. That one.
Some. I definitely remember. Yeah.
I'd love to hear sometimes. Well, anything else that you would like to play?
A Greek one, maybe.
Okay.
A Greek folk song from last century, probably.
No, it's more.
We can end on a Greek note.
Yeah.
We can end on a Greek note.
Yeah, a Greek.
Actually, it's not Greek, I think.
It's a Greek inspired.
But we can
I can wait 5 minutes until you decide what it is. I mean, it's okay.
Okay, we have it. No, we had to play this once. We were asked to play this for a theater piece. And we didn't know. The melody is very beautiful. And then we discovered it's a piece from a movie, actually.
Oh.
And I think it was composed for this movie, but it's very nice.
I see.
Boy on a Dolphin.
Boy on a Dolphin.
Sagapo?
And the Greek title is Sagapo. I think it means I love you.
Ah, okay.
Oh, wait.
So we had music that was played for dancing, music that was being played, I don't know, probably in big churches like Castello, music from the folk, and now music for the movie.
That's quite a range.
Yeah.
Ah no, aspetta, forse...
Can we start?
Prego.
Are you sure?
Did you
Yes, we're sure.
hear some waves?
Yeah, very cinematic waves.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. Really appreciate that. Appreciate your joining today and sharing with us your wonderful music and your time. It was very enlightening.
Thank you.
I learned a lot. I am more literate than I was about your recorder flutes and so on and so forth, the history. One thing which is which is revealing for me is that a lot of work. Oh,
Sorry.
the
Sorry.
signal.
I'm trying to activate the other camera. Hopefully.
No, it's okay. Let it be now. It's fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Come on this side.
And,
Yeah, but I want to see. Bye.
I see.
And so the instruments, for example, the lute and also the recorder, something that I take away from our conversation today is that, and for everyone else who's been listening today and will listen to this live stream in the future, is that a lot of work, and I'm talking as a luthier and as a conservator from South Asia. I'm the one who handcrafted the taus back to life after many, many years of research, the peacock shape, the largest bow instrument in South Asia. I'm the one who handcrafted the rabab that you saw, which is here, which is the replica of Guru Arjan Dev's rabab from the 16th century. The saranda and so on and so forth. So my source was I went to many museums, but I did not take any one of them as a model because I took several photographs, did analysis, Victoria and Albert Museum, the godowns I visited in the mid-90s, in fact 94, 95, 6, those years. I saw them, but I didn't, until I found the instruments that belonged to my tradition, is the instrument, that is when I handcrafted the saranda and rabab, when I found references from my own tradition. I did not want to import stuff and so on and so forth. But my journey was not on paintings, for example. My methodology was to actually find the last remaining luthier. Fortunately, I found him the only last one living at the time. He was born 1920, Kani Harbhajan Singh. So you met Parminder, his grandfather.
No.
My student Parminder's grandfather. I discovered him in the winter of 92, 93 and 95. Until I learned how to identify wood and choose and cut and so on and so forth. And then I documented the whole, endeavor to the whole effort, the whole actual luthiery work that we did. But I see that during my little introduction here and my work with you guys and others in this year, which has been to see these instruments so closely, look at their range and write music for them. Because I was talking about writing music corresponding to the travels of Guru Nanak for many years. It's a pity that I was not able to. People are wasting money in other things. But this kind of journey and mapping of his journeys, I've yet to see intelligence pour in some of the people who have big pockets. But they have very, very, I don't know where their heart is, where their mind is. They're wasting resources, but to do constructive work, actual work, which would correspond to the travels of Guru Nanak. And I've written about this, spoken about this work for years. But what I took is that the Renaissance, the Baroque, and so like you mentioned today that the recorder after Bach just disappeared until Verbruggen and others they brought it was recovered in England, for example. Somebody in England recovered in the early 20th century or late 19th century, if I remember it correctly.
20.
That is 20th century, and Bach is like 3 centuries, 2.5 centuries, 3 centuries ago.
Two and a half.
Yeah, 2.5 centuries. Nearly 250.
150 years.
Yeah. And something similar is what? The Rabab and the Saranda Tao. So this, again, by the time I recover it, they have been dead for as long. The last remaining masters were there in the early 20th century. But the instruments were not created really at that level anymore. Instruments people had from previous years, or very few instruments were made. But actual pedagogy was lost. For some instruments, nearly 150 odd years, some 100 years, some 70, 80 years by the time I recovered. But the source of information or the imagery or the dimensions has been based on the analysis of paintings, which are very well drawn in Europe. In some of the top painters, the way they painted lutes, even costumes, for example, when I was working with Aurelia Laurenti to my friend's daughter, who's a seamstress, stitches for theatre and for films. And I spent so much time with her identifying costumes that you were all supposed to wear. Hopefully when we do the event, we will also be able to have the costumes from the times of Guru Nanak's travels later this year, hopefully. The source of those costumes are also paintings. There are no other written resources. It's very moving, very interesting for me to see the methodology that has been employed by musicologists and costumes people in this case, in the case of the world of seams and stitches. It is very interesting how your instruments are based out of pictures drawn.
Pictures and painted. Existing instruments also existing, because you have
instruments in the museums.
There are? Okay.
And in some private collections as well. Yeah.
There were instruments from those times. There are. Of course, I know about the Stradivari and, Guarneri's and so on and so forth, the violins and the cellos, like Dominique Dubilincu played a cello. Galliano's, cello from 1754 he played the other day.
But like this, the copy of this record, the Ganassi, the instrument is still in Vienna, but it's not playable anymore.
I see, but the instrument exists, right?
But the instrument exists, and the recorder makers, they went there and took all the measures.
But how do they get the playing technique then? Because the instrument is an instrument.
Because it's written in the treatises, as I was saying.
Oh, it is written. Okay.
It is written.
So you had the advantage of actual physical instrument, even if it's not playable, like many of my ancestral instruments are not playable.
Yeah.
But then there were written instructions. The written music has has information. So that part of the intangible wealth is documented by way of writings.
Yeah. The funny thing is, we had the fingering charts for this kind of recorder, but they didn't know there was still a recorder survived till they discovered this instrument in Vienna, and they thought it corresponds to this fingering charts. And so they built the instrument and it fitted. They tried to play it and it was, yeah. So it was.
But still an extrapolation in a way, yeah. There's still.
Yeah.
Well, but that's fantastic. I'm so grateful to all those luthiers and scholars who went in search, and we have the benefit of hearing some of these melodies from that time in the 21st century, and it's an honor really to be introduced to the music of some of these great composers and contributors who have made our world heritage richer than it would have been otherwise. And the purpose of YaarAnād Baithak Series is to be introduced to the scholarship that is behind all of this. And so, friends, allow me to now do it the other way. And normally, we improvise now in a way that you've met and heard Carolina Pace, the employer of Michele Carreca. She employs him as a husband, as a babysitter. And anyway, jokes apart, Carolina studied recorder with Kathrin Bopp at the Schola Cantorum Basiliensis, where she gained a diploma in 2003, and she attended master classes with Marion Verbruggen, Pedro Memeldorf, and Dan Lauren. In 2005, she founded the Ensemble La Selva together with the lute player, this guy you see on the little right, poor guy. Michele Carreca, and with the La Selva, she performed for I concerti del Quirinale di Radio 3, or Radio 3, Festival Equilontani di Cagliari, Festival Antiqua in Barcelona, Sonidos en el Tempio in Toledo. Well, several festivals. I can go on naming them as the pronunciations. But in duo, both of them have performed for Mostra Internacional de Musica Antiqua di Curitiba in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro and the Italian Culture Center in New York, the World Bach-Fest in Florence. So she has played and recorded, for several labels. And Michele Carreca. Well, I'm sort of more Michele's friend. I'm from the groom's party. Just while I'm reading his info, actually, I'm actually in Carolina's side. Anyway, Michele was born in Foggia and graduated in lute at Conservatorio di Santa Cecilia in Rome with Andrea Damiani in 2006. He attended masterclass held by Paul Odette, and in particular by Hopkins Smith, which has been a main point of reference for his studies. As a soloist and as a chamber musician, Michele Carreca has played for Gesellschaft der Musikfreunde in Vienna, Vienna, Bramsal, and many other places, including Radio Rai3 and Italian Cultural Institute in Munich, and so on and so forth. Well, I've shared the CVs. I don't have to go in details, but he has recorded both as a soloist and as a continuing performer for Deutsche Grammophon, Sony DHM, Brilliant Classics, and so on and so forth. He has given masterclass and concert lessons for numerous institutions such as Conservatorio di Foggia, Conservatorio di Pescara, Dance Università Roma 3, Universidad Federal del Estado di Rio de Janeiro. Both of them live here in Rome and is a professor of lute and early plucked instruments at the conservatory. Scarlatti, previously it was known as V. Bellini in Palermo, And his last recording works are Hindred, The Princess of Viol, and Maddalena del Gobbo, Gamba, etc. Together they have this ensemble. Carolina had founded this with him and leg violins, Diana Fazzini, and I think in 2005, if I'm not wrong, is that right? Yeah.
Right.
And it has been they registered it as a cultural association based in Rome in 2008, and they've created many projects with it. And it has been my pleasure really to work with them. I was very grateful to our friend. You all loved his playing, Pepe Frana, who was here a couple of weeks back. He shared his playing and his scholarship with us. It was a pleasure to be in conversation with him. He was very kind when he was busy and introduced me. He said, "Oh, you will like them," and by God, I like them. Especially, I'm a very dear. I think I'm a dear friend of their son. As I was telling the other day, that I like shooting with the camera, and this little fellow enjoys being shot with the camera. So he was my model, and I would take many photos. But it's been a pleasure, really. Thank you so much for your contribution for the Anād Ensemble. It was a pleasure to work with you both, and Valerio and Valentina Nicolai. We at least performed with Radio Rai3, and thanks to our friends, in Radio Rai3 for the invitation. And unfortunately, the concert at the Museo della Civiltà had to be postponed or deferred until it would be a good time to invite the audience and so on and so forth. Maybe in a few months' time, we will plan to do that. But we might take it to the United States, where I have an invitation. We have plans to do something for Gurū Nānak's, for the concluding ceremony. We'll take the ensemble and fill it. I'm expanding the music I've written for more instruments, and from Iran, from Syria, and so on and so forth. So I'm putting together and writing in a way. I think we'll have a small entourage, or maybe a big, small entourage. We'll travel together and perform. Maybe even India. Our plans to do something in India, and maybe in Nankana Sahib, where Gurū Nānak was born, in Pakistan. We'll see. We'll keep our fingers crossed. I'm continuing to write with this YaarAnād Baithak Series. It's been a bingo stop for 33 days. Today is the 33rd Mēlā, or conversation, or a meeting. So for 33 days, I have not written music. I've spoken to musicians. So maybe 35 days, because when I spoke with Luigi Polsini to come on the show, it was a Friday, I remember, and we started on Sunday. And there it went. And I've been working for 21 to 27 to 24, 5 hours at a stretch. But it's been an honor really to be in conversation with all of you. I think I'm getting, messages, and I want to thank youngsters and elders from across the film industry back in India, and journalists from across the world, especially the South Asian journalists, who've been calling me and telling how this series, the production, the quality of production has inspired so many people, that they have started their own series. Many people in India and around have started a series of their own conversations and even music. Because I was tired, Carolina and Michele, of course. Everybody has become a television station. Anybody has a smartphone, they put it and go live. The quality of music is very boring. I had to refuse many institutions, and institutions in the sense they're all small institutions. Everybody makes an institution now. It's so easy to call oneself a foundation or a trust or some association, which is beautiful. People should have, but then quality goes. People who should be listening to good music are suddenly performing, and I get invitations, requests to come on this series, even when they are supposed to be studying and listening to the master classes that I am presenting by way of these conversations. So many friends have had issues, like maestro Ustad Ashraf Sharif Khan, also shared with me his concern about it, that he's not, in fact, not posting anything on the social media. He said it's so tiring, it's just so much happening, and I was sharing that it's so noisy. Just about everybody has become a music producer and a television station or a live stream station. People are not listening, they are just blaring. They just want, everybody is putting their, volume up. It's like every house is blaring their speakers, and if you walk on the street, what do you hear? Wow, 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 wow. Nothing, you can't make anything out, right?
Nice.
So I'm so grateful that you took time out, and I hope to see you in the near future.
Oh, yes.
Of course, we are in touch, but actually, and hope to create some beautiful music together. And
Yes,
also,
sure.
we will be recording what I've been writing anyway. So we'll continue our work. This is a work in progress, and my best wishes to you. And,
Thank you, Bhai.
and to your wonderful son and your families. And be good. Be good. Don't go around licking doorknobs now that Italy has opened up.
Yeah.
Don't climb buses and open the doors with your mouth. Don't do that, please.
Thank you, Bhai, for the invitation.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to share time with you.
No, it's,
Really,
thank you.
such a big pleasure and an honor.
Have a good flight tomorrow.
But I don't know what awaits me.
Oh, yeah.
How many kinds of viruses and bacteria I'm going to get swarmed by.
Oh,
Well,
good luck.
I think some of the politicians back in India would come and serve the viruses on a plate to me. They would say, please drink this little portion of COVID-19. Drink it. We are so afraid of you. So anyway, when I enter, it's been a beautiful socio-cultural environment here for me. When I go back to India, it will become socio-cultural political. I guess it's going to be, there's a lot of mess back in India, and I'm going to be, I think I've been hearing the plight of the migrant worker. Some idiot who controls the Sikh treasury has, pledged the Sikh temples reserve gold, and money to the Prime Minister's fund. So what if tomorrow some calamity occurs? What will the Sikh temples do? It's like so crazy. It's like stupidity knows no bounds. So when I go back, it's going to be a mess. I'll have to pick up a little broom or maybe a stick and spank a few bucks, I think that's what awaits me when I get back to India. But anyway, I will rather not bother you with the mess that me awaits back in Delhi. But I again thank you so very much for sharing your precious time with us and with my little world, those who listen, and they've enjoyed very much. And they compliment you for your music and for your contribution.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you to everybody.
Okay. So dosto esan Carolina Pace ਤੇ Michele Carreca ਔਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੇਰੀ ਗੁਫ਼ਤਗੂ ਹੋਈ ਉਹ ਦੋ ਸਾਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਰਿਕਾਰਡਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਫਲੂਟ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪੁਰਾਣੀ ਫਲੂਟ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਰਿਕਾਰਡਰ ਉਹਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਹੈ ਉਹਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਛੋਟਾ ਰੂਪ ਹੈ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪਿਕੋਲੋ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਲੂਟ ਵਜਾਈ ਉਹ ਬਾਰੋਕ ਏਰਾ ਦੀ ਲੇਟਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਵੇਲੇ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਲੂਟ ਮਿਖੇਲੇ ਨੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਵਜਾਈ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਹੋਰ ਸੀਗੀ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਤਾਰਾਂ ਘੱਟ ਸਨ ਇਹ ਜ਼ਿਆਦੀਆਂ ਸਨ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਥਿਓਰਬੋ ਵਜਾਇਆ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਦਾ ਸਾਜ਼ ਹੈਗਾ ਬੜਾ ਖੂਬਸੂਰਤ ਲੰਬਾ ਸਾਜ਼ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਈ ਹੋਰ ਤਰਬਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਈ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਪਿਆਨੋ ਵਾਂਗੋਂ ਬੇਸ ਵੀ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਵਜਾਇਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸੋ ਅੰਗੂਠੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੋ ਹੱਥਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਉਹ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਸੋ ਫਰਕ ਇੰਨਾ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਪਿਆਨੋ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਖੱਬੇ ਹੱਥ ਨਾਲ ਬੇਸ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਇਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਅੰਗੂਠਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੱਜੇ ਹੱਥ ਦਾ ਅੰਗੂਠਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵਜਾਉਣਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਦੇ ਇਨਫੈਕਟ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ ਸਾਜ਼ ਵਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਕੁਛ ਰਚਨਾਵਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਵਜਾਈਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਹਾਪਸੀ ਕੋਰਡ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਯਾਨੀ ਕਿ ਕੀਬੋਰਡ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਜ਼ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਲਿਖੇ ਗਏ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਰਚਨਾਵਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਵਜਾਈਆਂ ਅੱਜ ਦੀਏਗੋ ਔਰਕਿਸ ਤੋਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਜੋ 1510 ਤੋਂ 1576 ਈਸਵੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਜੀਵੇ ਸਨ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਰਚਨਾ ਤੋਂ ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਾਮ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋਈ ਸੀ। ਫਿਰ Girolamo Frescobaldi ਦੀ ਇਹ 1583 ਤੋਂ 1643 ਤੱਕ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜੀਵਨ ਕਾਲ ਰਿਹਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਰਚਨਾ ਵਜਾਈ। ਫਿਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਅੰਦਰਿਆ ਫਾਲਕੋਨੀਏਰੀ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ 1586 ਈਸਵੀ ਦੇ ਜਨਮੇ ਸਨ, 1656 ਈਸਵੀ ਤੱਕ ਉਹ ਰਹੇ। ਔਰ ਫਿਰ ਦਾਰੀਓ ਕਸਟੈਲੋ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਨਮ ਤਿਥੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ, ਪਰ 1630 ਦੇ ਲਗਭਗ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮ੍ਰਿਤਿੂ ਜਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਦੇਹ ਦਾ ਓਲਾ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੇਲਾ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਅਲੈਸਾਂਡਰੋ ਪਿਚੀਨੀਨੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ 1566 ਦੇ ਜਨਮੇ ਸਨ, 1638 ਤੱਕ ਜੀਵੇ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਤੋਕਾਤਾ ਚਿੰਕਵੇ ਦੇ ਕੋਰੈਂਤੇ ਕੁਆਤਰੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਵਜਾਇਆ। ਔਰ ਫਿਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਵਾਪਸ ਅੰਦਰਿਆ ਫਾਲਕੋਨੀਏਰੀ ਵੱਲ ਗਏ ਔਰ ਲਾ ਮੋਨਾਰਕਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਵਜਾਇਆ, ਇੱਕ ਰਚਨਾ ਵਜਾਈ। ਫਿਰ ਇੱਕ ਐਨੋਨੀਮਸ ਰਚਨਾ ਸੀ ਦ ਡਿਵੀਜ਼ਨ ਫਲੂਟ, ਲੰਡਨ 'ਚ ਲਿਖੀ ਹੋਈ 1708 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਹੈ 10ਵੇਂ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਨੇ ਦੇਹ ਦਾ ਓਲਾ 1708 ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ। ਉਦੋਂ ਦੀ ਐਨੋਨੀਮਸ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ 2 ਧੁਨਾਂ ਵਜਾਈਆਂ, ਇੱਕ ਇਟਾਲੀਅਨ ਗਰਾਊਂਡ ਉਹਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਸੀ ਔਰ ਡਿਵੀਜ਼ਨਸ ਔਨ ਏ ਗਰਾਊਂਡ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀਗਾ। ਔਰ ਫ੍ਰਾਂਸ ਬਰੁਗਨ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਖਾਸ ਜ਼ਿਕਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਰਿਕਾਰਡਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਫਲੂਟ ਹੈ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਗਵਾਚ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ 200 ਸਾਲ 150 200 ਸਾਲ ਬਾਕ ਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ 'ਚ। ਫਿਰ ਇਹ ਫ੍ਰਾਂਸ ਬਰੁਗਨ ਨੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ, ਉਹਨੇ ਕੁਝ ਰਚਨਾਵਾਂ ਲਿਖੀਆਂ ਰਿਕਾਰਡਰ ਦਾ, ਉਹਦਾ ਤਾਲੀਮਾਤੀ ਸਿਲਸਿਲਾ ਬਣਾਇਆ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਪੀਸ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਅਲੈਗਰੋ ਲਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ। ਔਰ ਫਿਰ ਮੇਰੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਪਸੰਦੀਦਾ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਕਈਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਸੰਦ ਹੈ, ਐਂਤੋਨੀਓ ਵਿਵਾਲਦੀ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ 1678 'ਚ ਜਨਮ ਹੋਇਆ, 10ਵੇਂ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਦਾ ਕਾਲ ਹੈਗਾ ਔਰ 1741 ਤੱਕ ਇਹ ਜਿਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ। ਔਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪੂਰਾ ਯਾਨੀ ਕਿ 4 ਚਰਨ ਵਜਾਏ, ਸੋਨਾਟਾ ਵਜਾਇਆ, ਇੱਕ ਸੋਲ ਮਾਜੋਰੇ, ਫਿਰ ਫਲਾਉਟੋ ਡੋਲਚੇ, RV 806 ਦਾ ਨੰਬਰ ਹੈਗਾ, ਅੰਦਾਂਤੇ ਅਲੈਗਰੋ, ਲਾਰਗੋ ਅਲੈਗਰੋ, ਇਹ 4 ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਚਰਨ ਵਜਾਏ ਸਨ। ਫਿਰ ਇਹ ਫ੍ਰਾਂਚੈਸਕੋ ਬਰਸਾਂਤੀ ਵੱਲ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਗਏ ਸਾਨੂੰ 1690 ਈਸਵੀ 'ਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਨਮ ਸੀ, 1770 ਤੱਕ ਯਾਨੀ ਕਿ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ 70 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ 80 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਉਮਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਰਹੀ। ਔਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ 3 ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਵਜਾਈਆਂ, ਲੈਡਸ ਆਫ ਪੀਟੀਜ਼ ਮਿਲ, ਦ ਹਾਈਲੈਂਡ ਲਾਡੀ ਕੈਟ ਔਗੀ। ਔਰ ਫਿਰ ਅਖੀਰ 'ਚ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਫਿਰ ਲੈਡਸ ਆਫ ਦੀ ਪੀਟੀਜ਼ ਮਿਲ ਨਾਲ ਸਮਾਪਨ ਕੀਤਾ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੈਲੋਡੀ ਲਾਈਨ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਬੰਦਾ ਟਰੈਵਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੀਤਾ, ਉਹਨੇ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਗਿਆ ਉਹਨੇ ਫੋਕ ਸੰਗੀਤ, ਲੋਕ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹ ਲੋਕ ਧੁਨਾਂ ਬੜੀਆਂ ਇਕੱਠੀਆਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ। ਪਰ ਮੈਂ ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੇ ਬੜੀ ਅੱਛੀ ਗੁਜ਼ਰੀ, ਬੜਾ ਭਲਾ ਲੱਗਾ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕੈਰੋਲੀਨਾ ਨੇ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਕੇ ਸੁਣਾਇਆ ਕਿ ਉਹਦੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਈਆਂ ਦੇ ਕਹਿਣ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਲੋਕ ਧੁਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ, ਬੇਸ ਲਾਈਨਸ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਲਿਖ ਰਿਹਾ, ਪਰ ਮੈਂ ਇਹ ਓਰੀਜਨਲ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਧੁਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਕੋਈ ਖਿਲਵਾੜ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਜ਼ਤ ਆਬਰੂ ਉਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਬਰਕਰਾਰ ਰੱਖ ਰਿਹਾ। ਇਹ ਬੰਦਾ 1690 ਦਾ ਜਨਮਿਆ, 1770 ਦਾ ਹੋਇਆ, ਇੰਨੀ ਸਕਾਲਰਸ਼ਿਪ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਕੇ ਗਿਆ। ਮਤਲਬ ਉਹਨੇ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਿ ਕਿਤੇ ਰਹਿ ਨਾ ਜਾਵੇ, ਕਿ ਭੁਲੇਖਾ ਨਾ ਪੈ ਜੇ ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਵਾਦ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨਾਲ। ਜਦੋਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਟੁੰਡੇ ਇਸ ਰਾਜੇ ਕੀ ਧੁਨੀ ਹੈ ਜੀ, ਕਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਧੁਨੀਆਂ ਲਈਆਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਲਿਖ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਧੁਨੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਖਿਲਵਾੜ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ, ਉਹ ਧੁਨੀ ਹੈ, ਅੱਖਰ ਮੈਂ ਦੇ ਰਿਹਾ ਪਰ ਧੁਨੀ ਉਹ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਐਸਪੈਕਟ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਸਕਾਲਰਸ਼ਿਪ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਝੋਲੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਿਹਰੇ ਵੀ ਵੱਜੀ ਹੈ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ। ਔਰ ਇਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ 200 ਸਾਲ ਬਾਅਦ 'ਚ, ਮਤਲਬ 250 ਸਾਲ ਬਾਅਦ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਤੋਂ ਜਨਮਦਾ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਉਹਦੀ ਵੀ ਸਕਾਲਰਸ਼ਿਪ ਦੇਖੋ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਬਕੌਲ ਉਹ ਆਪਣਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਉਹ ਬਤੌਰ ਲਿਖਦਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਮੈਂ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਕਹਿਣ 'ਤੇ, ਕਈ ਵਿਦਵਾਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕਹਿਣ 'ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਕੰਮ, ਅਡੈਪਟ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ, ਪਰ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਬੇਸ ਲਾਈਨਸ ਲਿਖ ਰਿਹਾ, ਪਰ ਓਰੀਜਨਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸ਼ੇਡ ਦੇ ਰਿਹਾ ਮੈਂ, ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਐਨਸੈਂਬਲ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਲਿਖ ਰਿਹਾ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਦੋਸਤੋ ਸਾਂਝੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ। ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸ਼ਾਮ ਦਾ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਮੈਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਂ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਪਾਇਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਵਿਦਵਾਨ ਅਨੂਰ ਅਨੰਤ ਕ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਨ ਸ਼ਰਮਾ, ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਿਆਰ ਨਾਲ ਸ਼ਿਵੂ ਆਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਅੰਕਲ ਦੀ ਡੈਥ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਸੀ ਅੱਜ ਸਵੇਰੇ। ਅੱਜ ਸੰਸਕਾਰ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਬੈਂਗਲੁਰੂ 'ਚ, ਅਤੇ ਉਹ ਸ਼ੁੱਕਰਵਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਮੋਸਟ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਬਲੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜ ਪਾਉਣਗੇ। ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਮੁਕਰਰ ਕਰ ਲਿਆ, ਪਰ ਆਸ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਫਰਾਈਡੇ ਨੂੰ ਪਹੁੰਚਣਾ ਹੈ ਸਵੇਰੇ ਅਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਕਰ ਪਾਵਾਂਗਾ। ਅਤੇ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਸਭਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਜੁੜੇਗੀ। ਮੈਂ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਉਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਂਝਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ, ਖਿਆਲ ਅਨਾਊਂਸ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ। ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਵੱਲੋਂ, ਆਪਣੇ ਅਨਾਦ ਫਾਊਂਡੇਸ਼ਨ ਵੱਲੋਂ, ਪੂਰੀ ਯਾਰ ਅਨਾਦ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਫਰੈਟਰਨਿਟੀ ਹੈ ਸਾਡੀ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਭਾਈਚਾਰਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਫਰੈਂਡਸ ਆਫ ਅਨਾਦ ਦਾ। ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਅਨੂਰ ਜੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਹਾਰਟਫੈਲਟ ਕੰਡੋਲੈਂਸਿਸ ਦਿਲ ਦੀ ਗਹਿਰਾਈ ਤੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਆਪਣਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਦੁਆ ਕਰਦਾ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਲਈ, ਵਿਛੜੀ ਰੂਹ ਲਈ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਰਦਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰਭੂ ਚਰਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਨਿਵਾਸ ਮਿਲੇ ਔਰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਭਾਣਾ ਮੰਨਣ ਦਾ ਬਲ ਬਖਸ਼ੇ। ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਉਮਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਅੰਕਲ ਦੀ, 75 ਸਾਲ ਉਮਰ ਸੀ, ਪਰ ਮੈਂ ਔਰ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੇ ਢਿੱਲੇ ਵੀ ਸਨ ਅੱਗੇ ਤੋਂ, ਪਰ ਵਿਛੋੜਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਦੋਸਤ ਔਰ ਪਿਆਰ ਹੋਵੇ ਅਥਰੂ ਅੱਖਾਂ 'ਚ, ਨੈਣਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਥਰੂ ਫੋਮ ਪਿਆਰ ਦੀ ਨਿਸ਼ਾਨੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਮੈਂ ਸਮਝਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਈ, ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਲਈ ਇਹ ਬੜਾ ਸਦਮੇ ਦਾ ਵੇਲਾ ਹੈ। ਅਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਬੜੀ ਨਵਾਜ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਜ ਮੈਂ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋਵਾਂ, ਪਰ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮੇਰੀ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਬੂਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ, ਅੱਜ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਇੱਕ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟ ਵੇਲਾ ਹੈ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਨਾਲ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੱਡੇ ਹੋ ਹੁਣ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਦੇ, ਅਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ 'ਚ ਰਹੋ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਸ਼ੁਕਰਗੁਜ਼ਾਰ ਹਾਂ ਔਰ ਸ਼ਨੀਚਰਵਾਰ ਨੂੰ, ਫਰਾਈਡੇ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਮਿਲਾਂਗੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ। ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਸਵੇਰੇ ਸ਼ਿਵ ਅਨੰਤ ਕ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਨ ਸ਼ਰਮਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸ਼ਾਗਿਰਦ ਹੋਣਗੇ PS ਅਰੁਣ ਕੁਮਾਰ, ਤਕਰੀਬਨ ਸਵੇਰੇ 12 ਵਜੇ ਦੇ ਕਰੀਬ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਮੈਂ ਬੈਠਾਂਗਾ। ਤੁਹਾਡੇ 3:30 ਹੋਏ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨ 'ਚ। ਉਹ ਬੈਂਗਲੌਰ ਤੋਂ ਜੁੜਨਗੇ। ਉਹ ਡਰਮ ਸੈੱਟ ਵਜਾਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ, ਕਰਨਾਟਕ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਦਾ ਵਜਾਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ। ਮੈਂ 2005 ਵਿੱਚ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਮੈਂ ਅੱਗੇ ਦੱਸ ਚੁੱਕਿਆ, ਉਹ ਆ ਕੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਫੈਸਟੀਵਲ 'ਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਲਏ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਰਿਵੀਲਿੰਗ ਦ ਰਿਚਸ ਆਫ ਇੰਡੀਅਨ ਰਿਦਮ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਵਜਾ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ। ਔਰ ਮੈਂ ਐਡਮ ਅਤੇ ਪਾਓਲੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਡਰਮਸ ਵਜਾਏ ਨੇ, ਪ੍ਰਕਸ਼ਨ ਵਜਾਇਆ, ਕਲਾਸੀਕਲ ਅਤੇ ਜੈਜ਼ ਵੀ। ਮੈਂ ਬੜਾ ਉਤਾਵਲਾ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਇੰਤਜ਼ਾਰ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ BS ਅਰੁਣ ਕੁਮਾਰ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਡਰਮਸ ਹੈਗਾ, ਉਹ 'ਤੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਰਨਾਟਕ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮ੍ਰਿਦੰਗਮ ਅਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਵਿੱਦਿਆ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਡੈਪਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਡਰਮਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ, ਆਪਾਂ ਵਾਇਲਨ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਸੈਕਸੋਫੋਨ 'ਤੇ ਕਰਨਾਟਕ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਹੋਰ ਸਾਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਫਲੂਟਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ, ਹੋਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ, ਪਰ ਦਿਲਰੂਬਾ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉੱਤਰੀ ਭਾਰਤ ਦੇ ਸਾਜ਼ ਹੋਣਗੇ। ਸੋ ਉਹ ਡਰਮਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਦੇਖੋਗੇ, ਹੈਰਾਨ ਹੋਵੋਗੇ। ਉਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਆਊਟਸਟੈਂਡਿੰਗ ਹੈ ਮੁੰਡਾ। ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਸਗੋਂ ਉਹਦੀ ਵੀ ਉਮਰ ਹੋ ਗਈ, ਮੁੰਡਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਿਹਾ, ਮੁੰਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਗੁੰਡਾ ਬਣ ਗਿਆ ਹੋਣਾ। ਸੋ ਖੈਰ, ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ 3:30 ਵਜੇ ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨ ਦੇ ਮਿਲਾਂਗੇ। ਮੇਰੀ ਆਖਰੀ ਬੈਠਕ ਹੋਏਗੀ ਲੋਕਡਾਊਨ ਤੋਂ, ਔਰ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਸ਼ਾਮੀ ਮੈਂ ਏਅਰਪੋਰਟ ਬੈਠਿਆ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇੱਕ ਰੀਕੈਪ ਕਰਾਂ, ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਝਲਕੀਆਂ ਮੈਂ ਦਿਖਾਉਂਦੇ ਜਾਵਾਂਗਾ। ਵਿਹਲਾ ਬੈਠਾ ਹੋਵਾਂਗਾ ਲਾਊਂਜ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਂ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਬਿਠਾਉਣਗੇ ਏਅਰਪੋਰਟ 'ਚ, ਉੱਥੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ ਕਨੈਕਟ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ। ਮੈਂ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਮਦਨ ਗੋਪਾਲ ਸਿੰਘ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਸੁਝਾਅ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਮੈਂ ਹਲਕੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਝਲਕੀਆਂ ਦਿਖਾਵਾਂ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਅੱਛਾ ਲੱਗਾ ਖਿਆਲ, ਅਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਉਹ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ ਜੁੜਨ ਦੀ ਏਅਰਪੋਰਟ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ, ਅਤੇ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਸ਼ਾਮ ਨੂੰ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਕਰਾਂ। ਪਰ ਉਹ ਸੰਭਵ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਉੱਥੇ ਕਨੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਅਤੇ ਬੈਠਣ ਨੂੰ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਥਾਂ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਬੈਠਣ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਕਿਤੇ ਵੀ ਏਅਰਪੋਰਟ ਹੋਵੇ, ਬਹਿ ਜਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਨਾ ਕਿਤੇ। ਸੋ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਤੱਕ ਲਈ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਤੋਂ ਇਜਾਜ਼ਤ ਦੇਣਾ। ਸਤਿ ਕਰਤਾਰ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਨਮਸਕਾਰ, ਖੁਦਾ ਹਾਫਿਜ਼, ਏ ਵੈਰੀ ਗੁੱਡ ਨਾਈਟ ਇੰਡੀਆ, ਬੁona serata Italia।